with us. So with that note, we once again thank John Golan on behalf of the entire team. Thanks, John, for joining us. And we will run it for around 50 minutes. Then we'll have a 10 minutes break, and then we will go to the second part of the second session. Okay. So welcome you all. So if I can request all of you to rename yourself with your email ID, that will help us to communicate with you, and also make sure that you join the WhatsApp group and stay in the WhatsApp group, because we are going to post the PPTs and the live recordings and some code examples and some interview questions later this week. So stay back, stay tuned, and happy learning. So over to you, John.
Good morning, Anna. Good morning, everyone. Yeah. My voice is audible?
Yeah, yes, brother. Yeah,
and also the PPT, right?
Yeah, PPT is yet to come up.
Okay. Yeah, we'll wait. You able to see now my PPT?
Yes, we are able to see it.
Yeah. So we had few topics last time, but irrespective of that, I will take this also as a fresh. Anyone who joined for today's session, well and good. No need to worry about previous things. We will update you in the group, the video and the PPT and some documents related to what I spoke, so that you can watch the video parallelly. You can see the documents, and also, if possible, we will post few interview questions, especially on the NumPy, Pandas data frame, and data science also. Data science will be huge, but we try to post so that you can have a good startup in learning the data science. As you are seeing this particular slide, we are having data science with machine learning, and my name is John Timothy. I hail from Andhra Pradesh, Nellore, and I am passionate towards training the people in various aspects, not only in the technical things and also various things. And it is very nice to have interest, skill and passion towards educating the final year and pre-final students and the freshers who want to learn the technologies and also who want to update their skills. So very nice about them. And also this particular slide which talks about the data science with machine learning. And last week we had one session, and today we are going to have one more session, and upcoming events will be, we will be updating you during the break time, and also future. Keep in touch with us, so that it will be a great help for us also, so that we know what you are expecting and all like that. And also during this time and also post, you can post your questions in the chat window and we answer those things. Yes, last time during the end, we ended up with almost with this slide, and mostly today we will concentrate on the coding part. I'll walk you through the code, which is having a end-to-end, like starting gathering of the data to developing an application using the machine learning algorithms. So we can go through that. Before that, the structure will be something like that. Some common machine learning terminologies we will see, and we will see the introduction to the machine learning, especially we do with Python. Alternative for this, other option for this Python is R language is there. And also we will see the list of common machine learning algorithms, so that when to use what algorithm, we will see the overview about it. We cannot go in depth into that particular thing, because our focus is the developing a complete end-to-end application using the one of the machine learning algorithm. But before getting into that, we will see like list of common machine learning algorithms. In that we have something like supervised machine learning things, and in that algorithm we will see some fundamentals. Especially we have to talk about the terminologies, and I will go through that one sample program. It's not a program, it's like a end complete project as such. If possible, we will put that code with a detailed explanation so that later also line by line you can understand what exactly you are doing, and you are able to update your resumes also. We will help you in that particular area also as much as possible. And what else, and fine tuning it that. And as we are flowing, we will see various other things also during the next 2 hours of time. Okay, at the end also we plan to have some interesting things, so please stay and listen attentively the terminologies and what I am talking. Once you know or these particular terminologies are there, it will help you to search and research and update your skills based on what I am talking. Okay, we'll go through this slide where we stopped last time. Data science is a branch of computer science where we study how to store, use, analyze data for deriving a information from it. That means we have a data can be from anywhere. It can be from a database, from a web server, from a web application, or some other third party, any other tool or data generation tool. If you apply some techniques on this particular data, why we are applying some techniques and science on this data is to analyze the data. Why we are analyzing the data is to get some meaningful information from the data. That is called data science, as simple as that. Now, second thing is, what is machine learning? A group of techniques used by the data scientists to allow computers to learn from the data. That is what it is, machine learning. Of course, broad perspective, artificial intelligence also falls into that one. I'll have someone asked question, what is the difference between AI, ML and deep learning? I will show a slide on that particular thing. ML is a step into direction of artificial intelligence, a program that analyzes data and learns to predict the outcome, right? So machine learning is a step into the direction of artificial intelligence, a program that analyzes the data. That's what we say in the data science, analyze the data and learns. Why we are doing that one? So that we can develop an application which predict the outcome. The last time we saw stock market. So that program, what it does is, it trains that algorithm get trained by lot of data and comes up with a formula. That formula also we generated it, and once we have that particular formula, we give the input and get the output. Don't worry about that particular thing. For those who joined today, we will give you that code and a detailed explanation with the document we will share. In ML, it is common to work with large data sets. To learn machine learning in Python, we should be using various modules. These are the list of the modules I will show through the code. NumPy, Matplotlib, Pandas, SciPy, sklearn, Seaborn, like that various modules will be there. Right, this slide also we saw, but I'm not going through again in detail. But while doing the code, we'll much deeper into that particular thing. Instead of 4 things, we will get around 12 plus steps to do that particular thing. As of now, you remember that acquire data and prepare the data, train the model and predict. That's what it is. So we have a data in the CSV file, and then we prepare some data, and that means we remove the unnecessary data, we normalize it, we'll add some mean or median and calculate the standard deviation. Those things we will do that, and we prepare the data. and then we train the data and predict the data. We will see completely how we will going to do with the Python. And while re-listening this one, once the YouTube or the video is shared, pause it and try to get the depth in this particular thing, because this is what your life will be if you are getting a job in the machine learning. Entire thing will be like this. If you are doing anything here just before this, it is called the data analyzing, and when you are doing it like this, it's like a developer for the. And few people asked the questions about through WhatsApp or the chat window last time, how do we clean up and organize big data sets? So whether it's a big data or a medium-sized data, you have to know your data. Whenever you have any data in languages like Java, Python, or any object-oriented program, this data is called attributes. Like attributes in the sense, the values for the attribute. And also, if you are using a normal Excel sheet or MS Access, in that the data is whatever the values filled in the rows. The column names will tell that the features or the attributes for that particular data, so that we have to do some feature engineering and see that which features are important in that particular data. And then you have to see that, and we have to analyze the missing values. That means any value is missed, any value is beyond boundary, or any value is below the expected value, suppose, or any value is a wrong value. For example, age of a person. Age of a person during this period, like no, in 2020 where we are, never be the age of the living person will be 450. So in an Excel sheet or in a database or any other place, if the age of the person is 256 or 720, that means something wrong in that particular data. Or the age of person says that even he born in 1996, the age of that particular person says this minus 23. That means that particular data is wrong. So we need to analyze this particular data, whether it's a missing, whether it's a wrong, whether it's upper the boundary, other below the boundary. We have to analyze all those things, and we have to do the cleaning of the particular data. How we will clean it? Again, various techniques will be there. Removing that particular data, or discard that particular data, put the mean, average mean, or the some value of that particular thing into the particular thing. And sometimes we may need to drop the missing values. We need to find is null, and we will do that particular thing. Everything, almost whatever I'm speaking, I will show you in the core perspective also, so that we will get into that. And as I mentioned here, if any missing value is there, automatically filling the missing values by some calculation, and scale it and normalize the data, right? Sometimes too much data is too much, as it is a big data set, because too much data is too much. That will take a lot of time for training, but it may not get the proper output. So instead of that, we should have a proper data from the big data set, whether it can be a subset of it, or not only single subset, it can be a multiple subsets of this particular big data set, and we can scale up or scale down that particular data and normalize data. And as I mentioned that regarding the age of the person should not be 253, because most in a college, the students average age will be or ranging from 18 years to 22 years. That is what. But when we see that some values having minus 23 or 80 years or 230 years, so while parsing the data, it may have missed out or miscalculated. So all these things will help us to organize the data or cleaning the data and make a proper data. These are not standard or set of specific sets which we do on the data, but this may vary vary based on the data which we receive. Can we have more sessions in Python and NumPy next time? This partially I answered, telling that why not. And today during the break time, sirs will explain or tell the feature plans or any feature training is there. Link for Python installation. It is just python.org. Whenever we see the installation, three things will be there. The first thing is downloading the software. Whenever you are downloading the software, it will be there in one of the server. From the server, you are downloading that one. Second thing is installation. Installation is nothing but extracting that files and keeping those files in specific areas. That is called the extraction. Third thing is setting the environment. That means setting the path. In the path also, three things will be there. One is that is a general thing. One is that setting the home path. Here it is a Python. So we will say that Python home. Second thing is we will put the path. Path is actually into the bin directory. And third thing is keeping the lib directory or the class directory. So generally three things. First thing is download it. Second thing is install it. And third thing is configure it. In configuration, again, three things. The first thing is set up the home path, set the path. Path is different and home path is different. Home path means where the software is downloaded or installed. That is the Python home. Second thing is bin directory. Third thing is called lib directory or the class path directory. So these three things we have to keep in this further. Please share the video. Please subscribe to the WhatsApp group, and it's already shared in this particular in the WhatsApp group which we created. Even after you join, if that is not shared, you go to the admin in the list of the WhatsApp group members. Go to the admin and ask them. They will repost it or they will send you in the individually. Is the R squared value based on the OLS method, meaning if you use the other methods or algorithms, you will have better R squared value? Yes, for sure. And today I will talk about this thing. Suppose we have 10 algorithms. You may ask a question like, out of the 10 algorithms, which one is better for me? Of course, if I take one particular algorithm, or how can I sure that this is the best algorithm? So for that, it is not that you are choosing one algorithm and living with that. Whatever steps we did, and when we come to the training of the algorithm and testing the algorithm and predict the algorithm, once the model is created, or generating the algorithm method, model, and predict the model and testing the model, these values we will calculate for all the possible algorithms or the models. And from that, we will compare which one is the best. So the answer is the R squared value based on the OLS method, meaning if you use other models, however, you will have better, may not be better, you will have better, or you may have better R squared value. Yes, you may have or may not have. Right. Another question which we need to be clear, or the concept which we need to be clear is, what is difference between artificial intelligence, machine learning, and deep learning? Our course or the 2-day session is depend on this particular machine learning. Of course, by this diagram, we understood that there is something called artificial intelligence, which is a superset of all the three. And second thing is machine learning, which is a superset of the deep learning and subset of the artificial intelligence. And deep learning is subset of artificial intelligence, and it's a subset of machine learning, which is a subset of a artificial intelligence. All these things we can read from this particular diagram. Now we will come to the artificial intelligence. Any techniques, simply we can remember what is artificial intelligence. Suppose if you have any machine or any hardware or any software or any device which you have, if you train that particular artificial intelligence, things like a human brain, that is called artificial intelligence. Intelligence means your brain. So artificial means artificially creating the human being. So, or artificially creating a brain. That's simple, as simple as that. That means you take any device, you take any machine, if you take any software, you can take any hardware or anything, and make that particular anything to think as your brain. That is called artificial intelligence. Intelligence means your brain, but it's not a natural intelligence. Natural intelligence means your brain is having natural intelligence, but here we are creating artificial, as simple as that. Now, any technique that enables computers to mimic human brain or human intelligence using logic, if then rules, decision trees, and machine learning, including the deep learning, is called artificial intelligence. Right. Let us come to machine learning. This is our area. You can ask any questions in the group or send a mail to us. We will, based on the number of questions or the number of topics, we will come with a proper plan and we will serve you in that particular thing. Machine learning, a subset of artificial intelligence that includes abstruse statistical techniques that enable machines to improve a task with experience. The category includes deep learning. Here the machine learning is, it contains, what is that? Machine learning contains algorithms, set of algorithms. Remember that particular thing. Machine learning contains statistical techniques. That's it. If you, here in artificial intelligence, for any device, you are giving the intelligence, that is called artificial intelligence. How you are doing? You may use machine learning, which is contains a set of algorithms or set of statistical techniques. Of course, those algorithms are developed using the statistical techniques. Remember those two terms. And if you are able to train a machine or a hardware or software so that it will get the intelligence, so that it will take the decisions or predictions, that is called machine learning. So machine learning is set of algorithms, set of statistical techniques. Now, third thing, that is a deep learning. This deep learning is a subset of machine learning. So what machine learning contains? Machine learning contains set of algorithms, set of statistical techniques. The subset of machine learning, again, this deep learning is subset of those algorithms, right? Or those statistical techniques. The subset of machine learning composed of algorithms that permit software to train itself. So here he may be training by our thing, but he trains itself to perform tasks like speech and image recognition by exposing the multi-layered. This is what deep means, multi-layered. Whatever here we are doing with the multi-layered neural networks to visit to vast amounts of data. That is called deep learning. Take any device or anything, give intelligence to that, that is called artificial intelligence. How you are giving the artificial intelligence? If you are doing with the algorithms and the statistical techniques, that is called machine learning. If you are going by layers, multi-layers, and doing that particular thing, example like speech recognition and image recognition, that is called deep learning. Yes, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and deep learning. Good question. Right, this also I explained. Suppose you have A plus B, that is called a logic or an algorithm. Then what is the algorithm is? Another algorithm is, you have to create or print numbers 1 to 20. When you want, that is the problem task given to you, 1 to 20, you will write some logic using the Python or R. So in order to achieve this, if you come up with a set of rules or set of steps to achieve this particular problem statement, that is called algorithm. So as I said, machine learning contains what? Set of algorithms or the statistical techniques to arrive or give the solution for this is called an algorithm. Right. Now, machine learning, as I told, is a type of artificial intelligence that provides computers with the ability to learn without being explicitly programmed. Machine learning focuses on development of computer algorithms that can be changed when exposed to new data. Don't worry about that much. Whatever I given the previous explanation, that is more thing. Now, I said that machine learning is a set of algorithms. Machine learning is a set of statistical techniques. Of course, the algorithms are developed based on the statistical techniques. Now, these algorithms will fall into various categories. In that, I picked up three categories. One is supervised algorithm, unsupervised algorithm, and reinforced algorithm. First one is how to remember that one is supervised algorithm means the data set which we received. What exactly is the data set? I'll read out the definition from my notes and then we will see. Data set means a set of data. A collection, that is what I written in my note, I am reading as it is a collection of data that organized into some types of data structure, as simple as that. That is the data. If the data contains both input and output, if the data contains both the input and output, then we use supervised algorithms. Remember that one as of now. Second thing is the data set which we received or the data set which we gathered is having only the input and doesn't have the output, then we use the unsupervised algorithms. That is the second one. Now, what is the reinforced algorithm? I will tell one allegory to remember easily. Suppose one boy is there, very small boy, we just started walking 1 year, 1.5 years, 2 years. Now, no one is giving any guidance to him, but we allowed him to do whatever he wanted. So the 2 years boy, he started doing that one. When he does and completed the task, what we are doing is, if it is right, we are appreciating and giving a biscuit or we are giving a some token amount to him. That means we are telling him that it is good. The same boy, if he does something wrong, we are giving the punishment. Now the boy, no one is training him, no one giving the rules to him, no one suggesting anything to him. The boy, 2 years boy, started doing it. As he is doing, he is growing. Every day, every second, every month, he is growing. As he is growing, second by second, when whatever the task he is doing, if it is good or if it is correct, we are appreciating him. If it is bad, we are punishing him. Based on this punishment and based on this particular appreciation, he is getting trained. That is called reinforced algorithm. So in machine learning algorithms, there are three categories. Many categories will be there, but three categories. In these three categories, first one we need to have is supervised category algorithms. That means it has both the input and output. That is called supervised algorithm. If the data contains only the input and not the output, that is called unsupervised algorithm. And I kept the thing. Based on the output it is getting, that thing is learning. for that particular algorithm. Those are called reinforced algorithms. So I explained there itself, and while going through that later, you can pause it and read it, right? Whatever I explained, same thing I kept on these things, right? So how, when I will apply the supervised learning, if I have a output, I will do that one, right? Based on this, we will create the thing. And similarly, unsupervised learning. This also I explained very clearly. If the data doesn't contain output, then I will do that one. Reinforce, I will give an allegory, and based on the allegory, or based on the behavior, or based on the output, or based on the feedback it got, whether it's a good task or task is completed in a good way, or we given a punishment. Punishment means we giving the negative mark for that. That is called reinforced algorithm. Right. How a problem, previous 3 slides, you pause it when the video is shared and read it and try to recollect what I am doing, so that it will become lifelong, it will be there in the thing. If you do that exercise at 5 to 6 times, actually 6 times, that will stick in your mind for a longer period, right? How a problem is solved using the machine learning, that's the thing, right? Right. We take a top-down approach to answer the same. So there are 5 questions which can be answered in data science. There are a lot of algorithms will be there. I just read it out. Like linear regression, logistic regression, decision trees, SVM, naive-Bayes, KNN, K-means, random forest, dimensionality reduction algorithm, GBM, XGBoost, light GBM, CatBoost. Like there's so many list of common machine learning algorithms. You may ask the question, do I need to learn everything? Answer is not needed, may not be. Right? Right. But generally, whenever the problem comes, you need to solve that particular problem using the machine learning algorithms, right? The heading says that a problem is to be solved using the machine learning. We take a top-down approach to answer the same. There will be 5 questions which needs to be answered in data science. If this is A or B, that means yes or no, or 0 or 1, or maybe. If that particular answer, the output is in this particular thing. Suppose in your thing, garden, there are 3 kinds of roses are there, like white rose, red rose, and pink rose. You want to classify those roses based on the data. So the question is this a white rose or a red rose or a pink rose? Then we have to use the classification algorithm. In the classification algorithm, there will be a list of algorithms which will be there, right? So like in classification, what will be there? Random forest will be there, SVMs will be there, the nearest neighbor will be there. So in that, you train the data model using the data, and whichever gives the best result, you'll use this one. Second thing is this weird? What is the real-time example for this? Is this weird? Suppose for a classroom, we asked all the students to come in red and white. So red pant, white shirt, or red skirt and white top. That's what we said. Suddenly, couple of people came to the classroom or the school without following that particular code of conduct or telling the uniform. Now, those 2 we need to identify, that is weird, right? Anomaly detection algorithm. So that anomaly detection algorithms we have to use to find out such people, right? That example looks to be simple. I will tell one more thing. The thing is, suppose I have a credit card. That credit card generally, or a debit card or ATM card, generally I will use at Nellore and I will use at Bangalore because Nellore is my native place where I use regularly in a specific locations in and around Nellore. Second thing is in and around Bangalore, especially between my house, near my house and near my office, or in between any other place, any place between my house and the office. But suddenly some transactions are happening in my ATM card at UK, at Afghanistan or Pakistan. Then this is weird, right? Because immediately I will get a call from the bank telling that are you use your credit card now or used your ATM card now or your wife taken your card used in some other different place or withdrawn the huge amount. Generally, if we are using something, someone can mute your video. It's like disturbing us. Yeah, right. Uh, right. What we are doing? Right. Suppose generally I withdraw thousand like that. Suddenly, someone used it for withdrawing 1 lakh, not only one time, 2, 3 times. That is weird. Right. That is the thing. That is the thing. Think about it. How much or how many? If that is the things, it is a regression algorithm. Tomorrow or next month, this time, how much will be my stock rate? Today, my policy or the stock or investment, that particular value is 23 rupees 45 paise. How much it will be next month or next year after 10 years? Calculating or predict that one, how much or how many, it will be the regression algorithms. The clustering algorithm, suppose I went to Yelahanka or I went to some other place in Amirpet and I want to start a training institute. I will see the clustering of the people where more students are there. In the students also two types of students. One is just completed students. They want to get trained. Another is studying students, second year, third year, final year like that. So I will see the clustering of those people and say that where I can start a pizza center or where I can put a ice cream cart so that I can sell my ice creams, or I'll put a Python training institute so that I will use that data where the more people are there. Suppose I will take a flask of tea and I want to sit before some eco space or any software company. What I will do, I have to use the clustering. That means when the people will be more, where the more people will be there, how that data is organized, that is called clustering algorithms. Next, what should I do next? That is the reinforced learning. Reinforced algorithm or reinforced learning, I already mentioned in the previous thing with the allegory. Right. This I explained in the previous thing, and we will, this also I explained in the uniform things, regression algorithms, clustering algorithms, reinforced algorithm, and project. Now we will take a little bit break, 5 to 10 minutes, 5 minutes, and then we'll go in an end-to-end project so that be attentive to the terminologies which I am going to use while doing this thing. By seeing the code thing, don't think that you understood that. Parallelly, think whatever I spoke or going to speak are important. Those things you need to master it and get aware of those terminologies so that you also have to speak in that particular line. Shall we take 5 minutes break and then we will continue that end-to-end project or end-to-end complete solution will take more than 1.5 hours or 1 hour 15 minutes. Yeah, we'll take a 5 minutes break. In meantime, you can post your questions also.
Yeah. Thanks, John. I think you are able to see me. Yes. Okay, so we'll take 5 minutes break. But those people who have any questions, please continue to
You
post.
are in mute.
Yeah. Those who have questions, please post them in the chat window. And as you know that this program is brought to you by InterSkill, an initiative from like-minded software professionals. So upcoming, we have cloud computing and introduction to Google Cloud Platform. Cloud computing and introduction to Google Cloud Platform. We have one of our friends joining us from California, who is a Google Cloud certified professional with around 20 plus years of experience. He did his BTech here and MBA in California and is there for the last 2 decades. So he will be with us. Is Ramakrishna Bhupati. He's a good friend of mine. He will walk us through what's happening latest on the cloud computing, comparing various cloud platforms, and focusing a little bit on the cloud platform of the Google. So following this, we will have some sessions on cybersecurity, some on DevOps, and we will also have a training on the soft skill on career guidance. Many of you are asking for what are the career options for me if I am doing this thing now. If I am a tester, what are my options going forward? Or if I am a dev, so what I should do next? So those kind of questions, very practical questions, will be done by some of the industry leaders that we will have in the following weeks. So apart from InterSkill, I also want to introduce you with InterCare. I think some of you are aware. InterCare is another initiative to help those people who are kind of wanting some help in their emotional well-being or financial planning, and any kind of counseling help they want. So we have a set of senior executives working in the IT industry who have been in the mentor-mentee programs in the corporates, as well as we have some professionally trained counselors that you can definitely take their help. So today I see, can I have the next slide if you have, Whitson? So InterCare, also you can write to them as the intercareteam@gmail.com. So they will help you with any kind of caring and counseling help you need, either it be emotional wellness or career guidance or financial planning or any of practical problems. And that will be kept very confidential between one-on-one sessions. First, some of our people will come and talk with you and put a match between you and a specific counselor and a helper who to deal with your problem, and you can share with them with all your information, and they will be able to guide. As I told you, these are those who are the industry experts who have been part of mentor-mentee programs within the corporates, and also some of them are professionally trained counselors. So take advantage of these things. These are absolutely free. It is a good initiative by the like-minded software professionals to help one another during this pandemic time and strengthen one another, move forward. And if you are an expert in anything, please write to us. We will take your help and you can be part of the trainer group as well. So with that, I'll give you some time to take a 5-minute break, and then we'll go back after 2-3 minutes. Okay, thank you very much.
Whitson, can you quickly share the questions so that John can answer? You can share the Word document. We got some 3-4 questions.
Yeah.
Yes, the first question I see is it necessary to use predefined algorithms or we can write our own algorithms? Yes, in the market, we have huge set of algorithms, and also just now I spoke about how to identify an algorithm. I said 5 questions you have to ask and see that which category of the algorithm is suits for that. It is good to use the predefined algorithms as you are using that one, and based on the accuracy of the result, the accuracy of the result should vary from zero 0.8 and above 0.96 and all like that. If it is giving the results between 0.8 and 1, why you want to write your own algorithm? That is one thing. No need to waste your time. Of course, if you are good and you want to excellent and you find some issues with the existing algorithm or the predefined algorithms, for sure you can go ahead and write your own algorithm. Yes. The second question, what can be approach for intent detection of unstructured data? Like when we don't have labels, to use classification. Again, reading it again. What can be approach for intent detection of unstructured data? Like when we don't have labels to use classification, right? I will go to the first part. I said that we have 3 types of data. One is that structured data. Another is the semi-structured data. Third thing is the unstructured data. If you see what? If you see the percentage of the data, we found that 5 to 10% is structured data and another 5 to 10% is unstructured data. If you take the maximum of those two, rest is 80% is unstructured data. So we should be careful and we should have spend more time on unstructured data to be analyzed or to be classified, to be organized in a thing. For that reason, in the market, I will give few points because it's like a big topic. In 2 minutes, I will give something. Unstructured data analytics tools are software developed to gather and analyze information and doesn't have a predefined model, right? We call it as in pandas or other packages. We have some tools so that we can give the labels for that particular thing. So we can give label that labels is called, the labels also called features. And those features, I will show in my code, 1 line of code will be there or 2 lines of the code. The feature importance will be there. The things will help us to work with the unstructured data, right? The complexity or unstructured data lies within the language that created it. You are not creating that one. It is coming from the third party or some other application, some other source. So the complexity of the unstructured data lies within the language that created it. Human language is quite different from the languages used by the machines, which prefer structured information. So the goal of an unstructured data analytic tools is to bridge it between the 2 very different languages. So for this also we have algorithms. In my code I used a couple of lines, and we have to use the tool so that you can label it and also you'll get the feature importance, and on the feature importance you'll work on that one. Hope I answered it, and yeah, few more questions are there. Can we copy those things into this? Yes, someone copy into the pad, no, so that it will be easy.
And can you please help?
Now, some other question also there, no? Someone said he's in ninth class. Yeah. What is the approach to find job opportunities for 1 to 2 years experience in data science? See, what is the approach to find job opportunities for 1 2 years experience in data science? Yeah, you need to register into the job portal and you're always on the top of that particular thing. There will be some WhatsApp groups also where they collect and post the summary of the job opportunities. You keep on trying on that. And also your resume in like no job monster or Naukri or something like that. It should be attractive, especially your heading, and it should be realistic, and it should be straightforward, like no what skill set and all is there. And these three areas, one is some job portal, second thing is you should be subscribed to a few of the WhatsApp groups where daily we'll get around 10 to 12 uh, job opportunities. Those things are there in Bangalore and Hyderabad, I know. So you need to do the market research. Yes, you will get, because the lot of lacks of things are there. Which is the best for data science, and PyCharm or Jupyter? I prefer Jupyter if you are a little bit lazy, so that you can straight away work on that. If you want to learn the configurations and all like that, go for the PyCharm. Today project I did using the PyCharm. Generally, I do most of the things in the notepad so that it will be big. But uh, Jupyter is good if you are a little bit lazy and start right away. Yeah, I have completed my MCA. How much time taken for getting job as a data scientist? If you completed, if you are in the campus, you can get it on the day one itself. How much time taken for getting job? We can't say that. You can get the job without knowing anything also. After getting the job, they will train you. Those things also will be there. But your attitude and your presentation should be there, that I can do anything what they given. That should be the attitude. Generally, to learn the data science course, whatever it is, data science using the Jupyter, for example, there will be 12 chapters will be there. It will take 3 months if you're dedicated 2 to 3 hours, and to master and type every program, it may take 6 months, like that. But regarding the job, we cannot say that. You can get the job now also. Some people can see you in the Windows chart, they can offer you. After that, you can learn us. What is the difference between various roles related to data science, such as data scientist, data engineer, data analyst, data architect, ML engineer, AI engineer? So these courses might have get answered in the initial stages when I'm telling about the AI and ML, because ML is more related to algorithms and statistics techniques where we use. If you are good at the algorithms and those things, you are get like a ML engineer. And AI engineer, what it does is, AI engineer is that you take any device, if you train that, so that it's like a more of a theoretical part, AI engineer, and you are able to design, or you are able to define certain things where the machine can get trained and act as a human brain. There you have artificial engineer. Whereas if you deal more with the algorithms, whether writing the algorithm or using the algorithm, then you are in a ML engineer. Data scientist, that also we covered. The data scientist, data engineer will be, data scientist is take the data from the CSV file or an Excel sheet or any database and apply some techniques to clean up and those things. Go back to your friend slides. In the cycle of the data scientist, the starting first part is done by those people, data scientist and data analyst, those things. Okay, seventh question. Of course, sixth is very, very, very broad. It is like a complete course. That's the thing I just told. ML, AI, and data science, and I skipped. Sir, I am in ninth now. And for the sixth, if you talk personally or someone, even SARS can also answer that one in detail later. Sir, I'm in ninth now. Will the scope remain till I become elder enough for a job? Yes, it's the right time. Actually, 8th class, 9th class people, they have to start. CBSE syllabus has the data science part in couple of chapters, how to design the graphs and how to visualize from the data. It is there in the 8th class CBSE syllabus. Great, good. It will be there in the market forever. And also whatever you learn, you'll never go waste. Whatever you sow, you will reap. If I'm switching from technical field to deep learning, how can I enter? Which project help me? Right. If I'm switching from teaching field to deep learning, how can I enter? How can I enter in the sense you should learn one of the coding language, Python or R. That's the first thing. And there you can see that whether really you fit or you're able to understand and you're able to execute basic programs using the Python language. Watch my video and I said that what scope you don't need to what I mentioned was you don't need to be a full stack developer there. At least you should be able to write the functions and the core Python things. And then you see that the algorithms list, whatever I mentioned today, 5 questions. And then projects are there online also, end-to-end projects. You pick for a couple of them. If possible, with InterSkill also, we plan some end-to-end project using that one. Yes, let us move to next one. But basic thing is see your appetite and see your interest, that whether you are able to code using the Python. I don't have any experience in coding or any IT skills. Whatsoever, can I still learn data science? Yes, you can learn. Artificial intelligence, yes. And ML, yes. And change my career profile, yes. I have completed my MBA and I have 10 years expertise in different field. And I want to switch my career profile to data. Need help and advice, please. Yeah, talk to one-to-one and we can help you. And why you want to change vertically? Why not up in your things? You have a 10-year experience at the manager level. And think about that one. Why you want to come like this instead of going like this up? Can you talk a little bit about which language is best for data science out of R and Python? Python is good. I shown in the first thing like Python actually from where are we? Some date ranges also mentioned like 2013, 14, 15 like that. Python grown from here to here, here to here, like this Python usage is grown. Whereas when it comes to R, it was there here, that is little bit behind the Python language. And R started here and it went back and it went back. So I prefer Python. Another thing is R contains extensive batteries or the packages or the modules related to statistics, whereas Python is also having those things, plus all the language features, whatever is there in the Java, whatever is there in the C++ are there in Python. So can you talk a little bit about which language is the best for data science out of R and Python? Is if you take the big picture, it is a Python. If you see the specific, your project contains extensive of the statistics, go for R. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, we'll take up more questions at the end, John. Like we can continue the session.
Yeah, right. Let me take water and share my screen. Yes, yeah, good questions actually. We can collect these questions and put like a web small page also. Can you? Yes, I have to go, right? I will share my desk and my video and we will start.
You're on mute. Can you check once?
Yes, yeah. So this is like a end-to-end project. And even the first one, which I shown you, that is about the stock price predict. That also can be expanded and we can make it as a big one. here what we are doing is an end to end, so that you will know all the steps, like 10 to 12 to 13 steps. Those are not like a fixed steps. Those are expanded what I showed in the previous slide, 4 steps. It will be like, no, all those steps, be attentive, and as you are seeing the code there, and whatever I am talking, I'll talk too much for the next 1 hour, 12:30, right? Yeah, 12:25 or 20, I will stop. And if any questions are unanswered at the last 5 minutes, I promise that we'll put in a small web page, and we answer those things in the web page and share in the group. I guarantee that one. So don't get disappointed if any of your questions are not answered in the last 5 minutes, because most of the questions I've taken up, around 13 questions I've taken up now. Let us get started. The first thing is collection of the data. The collection of data, what I have is, here the car data will be there. There is a cardeco.com is there, and we have a car data. It is not a complex data, it is a simple data. Let me open it and see that particular car data. So we have a car name. The car name is Rids. Generally, we need to talk more to this Excel sheet and to get interpret and get acquainted if you are not belong to that particular domain. If you are a salesperson, or you are a manager or a owner of that particular car showroom, by experience you will get to know what are those terms are. But if you are from the technical side, not aware of all those things, you need to talk to the data. The data will keep on train you, your mind, so that what the thing. So the first column is the car name. Second thing is when that car was purchased, that is the 2014th model, 15th model, 16th model, that is a year. What is the selling price at that time, and what is the present price now of the particular car, and totally kilometers driven, and what is the fuel type, and it's a petrol or diesel or something, or who is the seller type, and transmission is manual or automatic, and who is the owner of these things. And I have I did something on this. Yeah, what is this to end is called records in the database or in the Excel sheet. These are the values. And whatever I read up to now is called the attributes of these things. This data we need to things. In data science, the attributes, whatever we written here, our name, year, and all are called features. The features are also called the parameters. And these features of the parameters, we need to understand that we need to give some ranking for this, how much important this one. It also ranges from some value 0 to 1, right? These parameters, we have something called hyperparameter. I will read from my notes as it is and see that. What first is parameter? A variable of a model that the ML systems train on its own. That is the parameter attribute. Like the attribute is part of a Java class or C++. We have something called feature. What is the feature? First I said that parameter is a variable of a model that the machine learning system train on its own. Feature is are individual independent variables that acts as the input in your system. So certain things may not be all. You can drop certain columns. That is called cleaning, data cleaning. The individual independent that acts as an input. So certain things or all the things will act as an input. Why we want in 2020, this September month, what will be the selling price for that particular? That is the output. The output is what is the selling price. If you see this output here, we don't have the output. We are not selling that. This is the sell. So today we need to sell for this. We are going to predict that one. Since we are doing that one, selling price, here it is there, selling price. But this car today, for how much we can sell, or new car will come, that selling price we can do. For the existing data, we have the selling price, the supervised learning. And what we are doing is you can consider one column of your data said to be one feature. So this column is called one feature. So there is some techniques called feature thing. Now this CSV file or this Excel sheet will be converted to a Python objects. In order to do that, I just written one line that is called pd.readcsv. There are so many things like this in the Panda, like read JSON, that will be there. Something called read Excel sheet, read text file. These are called importing the data. That means load the data using the thing. There will be a text file, you can do that. There is a CSV file, you can do that. There will be Excel file, you can do that. JSON file will be do that. This is called loading the data into this particular thing. Once that is done, you need to do certain things here. What type it is? Mostly this type will be Python equivalent dictionary format. If not, you need to do, if it is not a fully structured data, you need to do some operations there. But here, based on the Excel sheet, what I have shown, it is a little bit good structure data. What are the other data things is, there is something called bunch. What is that bunch is? One of the sklearn. If it is a pandas, it will be a different type will come. That is a data frame in what? In pandas, it's a data frame. That's why I given the variable as the df. Whereas if you use the sklearn, it will be like a bunch. Whether it's a data frame or it's a bunch which in the sklearn, both will fall into something equivalent to our Python. What is in Python? It's a dictionary. Then we will see the shape of it. That means what is the shape means it is something like, it has assumed that it has 320 records, 320. And how many attributes are there? That attributes can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If I am wrong, also if I wrong also no problem. It is almost equal to 320 by 9. 320 means it is how many records it is there. If it is a 2000, it can be 2000. That will be printed there. So we did 2 steps or 3 steps here. First step is importing the required packages. That is what we have done here. Second thing is load that Excel sheet or the CSV file or any file into your program. Don't write Python code. It will take 3 to 5 lines here. But using the pandas or something, we can do that particular thing. Once that is done, we will analyze that thing, whether the uniqueness of those, all the columns. These are the columns names: seller name, type, transmission, and owner. So we need to go to the Excel sheet. I clicked on this particular filter and I clicked on this filter. Because of that reason, these things came. So if you see the unique values of this car model, these are the car models which we have. How I will get this uniqueness of this particular, for year, we have from range from 2003 to 2018 data is there. That means it's a 2 years old data. You can go and fetch the new data also. As of now, it's a little bit old data. Old data means what? 2003 to 2018. It's a good collection of data because years are range, like no 3 to, that is like a 14 complete years data. 14 to 15 years. That's a good collection of data, but latest data is not there. You can go on with this. These are the unique. How I will, whatever I'm seeing in selling price, of course, selling price will range a lot. Now you can come here, fuel type. So in fuel type, we have only CNG type, diesel type, petrol type. And you have a seller type. You have a dealer and individual. You have a transmission type, only 2 will be there, automatic and manual. Owner will see only 0 I'm seeing, but here 013 is there. So these 013 will have some meaning for that. How I will get in Python or in a data sciences by calling the unique. So if you see the output, I will show you the output. The output will give whatever I shown in this thing. So we did that pattern. The unique values are calculated in this, and the data may be missing. This data is a clean data. So no data is missing. Since no data is missing, the values which I am going to calculate is 0, 0, 0 only will come. So in order to check that, in frame, whatever is there, I will check for is null. Listen attentively and re-watch this video and do line by line, copy paste it and do that one. If anything is there, null is there in the data frame is what we got it here using the pandas. If it says that is null, that means any null is there and it will keep adding that one. For example, in our case, we will get 0, where I will show that one, if it is there, output. It is somewhere here in the output. I will run it, rerun it, and again here, this is a old thing. Here, yeah, here, we are getting the unique values, dealer, individual, manual, automatic, 0, 1, 3. Whatever I shown in the Excel sheet, I got it from the thing. And whatever the shape, that means 9 columns and 301 records are there. And in that, I will showing you the first thing here. I will share this code with you because it's like a end to end. It can be a reference for you guys. And you see this thing, each column, car name, I calculated is null is there. But no, since no null values are there, it is the all 0. Suppose suddenly kilometers driven contains 43 here. That means out of 301 records, 34 records are not having a value for the car driven. Now you have to take a conscious decision whether we can remove those 43 records or we calculate some value and automatically that can be filled. Those things we have to do in the data cleaning part or data analyze part, right? These are data scientist, data analyst, data engineer has to do those things. But everything is 0, my data is a clean data. And I'm printing all the columns related to particular thing. All 9 are coming here, right? Once that is done, I'm going to do certain things. What I'm doing is, I found out that the car value doesn't matter based on my car name. It doesn't matter because why? Because I will check how many years old that one. And second thing is how many kilometers you have driven, and it's a manual. But this car name, I feel, that is my analysis. If you want to include, you can include that one. But based on the final score, the efficiency of the training, we will keep it or remove it. So I removing this one. For that removing, again, I'm using the pandas, and I taken only the other columns, leaving the first column. What is the first column? The first column is car name. So I didn't include the car name. I got all the columns. Why this sum is there? It is. Yeah. What is this? Something. The sum came down because of my operation. Right. Next, line number 24. What I did in this line is I removed that but the car name. Now I said that current year is 2020. This no needs to be hard coded like this. It can be taken from the now. Now is the current time. Those kind of APIs or the functions will be there. Exact date will be taken and then we can calculate that one. But for our program, I put current year is 2020. That will be added to final data. So a new column will get added here and this thing. And I'm seeing the first 5 values of that. So in the output, I can see that the current, where is the current year? Yeah. The current year is added here. The current year is added here. Previous in original thing, it is not there. In original thing, car name was there. I removed the car name and added the current year. Current year is 2020. Now, what I see is instead of current year, if I see easily the number of years the car is manufactured, the number of years, I added one more column called number of years and I taken the difference of this column and this column. For example, 2020 minus 2014. So that is the 6 years, 7 years, 3 years. So this particular car is 9 years of old. So this calculation, once this is calculated, I don't want this column, current year column. So I removed that one. So what I did, car name I removed, which totally waste I thought. You may think that is the, so car name is removed. Then I added a new thing called current year, which is not there in this. Once I added the current year, I calculated the number of years by seeing the difference between year and current year. Now number of years came. Now I removed this one. This is called something like feature engineering and data cleaning and data analysis. All these things comes into this thing. Simply what I did, I'll go to the code. After doing that one, I printed that one. Here again a data frame function. Data frame is which comes from the pandas, and I am going to drop the year. I drop the year. I don't want year. That's what I mentioned here. So this column is 2014. This column is not there here. Here the drop is there. So again it reduced here to that. Now what is this one? In place is equal to true means there are two flavors. If you say false here, you can assign to like something like this. Final data is equal to, if you say it false, then what happens is this calculated value will fall into this one. But I don't want to like that. So a new variable will be created, and this variable have a reference to the newly calculated thing. But I don't want to do that way. And I'm making as a true. When it is a true, this entire thing will return none, but this will be updated with the result. So the final data will be having with the column got dropped, year got dropped. So you can say X is equal to, if you don't want to, right. Now that one as I'm printing. So I gave it this explanation here. You can read it, but I mentioned that one. Even the online help will do that. Now I am dropping the current year also. Here I am dropping that one. Here I am dropping the current year. So the current year also gone. Where is the current year? Here the current year is there. When you come to this, current year is gone. So that is the printed year. Right. Once that is dropped, I'm doing some correlation on this. That will give, of course, if you are using some other package, there is some other function called summary will be there. It will give the arithmetic mean. It will give the standard deviation, min value, max value, those things will be there. Of course, for our end-to-end project is not needed, but I simply saying that in pandas, there is something called CORR function. That values are here in the thing. Yeah, but for our project, end-to-end project is not needed, but I just mentioned here. So for each column, selling price, present price, kilometers driven, it is giving certain values here. So now, here you see that suddenly I given an import here. That means import statement can be given anywhere. You can give on the top, we can give in the middle. There is no point giving in the last end. Why? Because you have to give the import statement before using it. Suppose since we are using here, before that you need to use it. It can be here or on the top. You cannot keep this after this because you are using this PLT where you are using the PLT. Yeah, here I am using, I commented it because I don't want to show that. PLT.show. Before that, this import statement should be there. Again, one more thing I explained is this using that as is called alias. You can use some other thing called normal import also from also. You can use that one. Right. What is here we are having here is these two lines is the final data. The final data is this part. This part. Whatever this part. This final data is this part. You are doing the slicing operator. So in your notes or in your online, you try to understand what is the slicing? Slicing of data. It is something like start index, end index, and sometimes it is called step, sometimes it is called the increment operator. Like slicing of the data, start index, something like that. And there is two ways again here. One is by lock, another is iLock. Lock is like location, and the second thing is iLock means indexed location. So you need to be aware. These are like, if you see online, there are 100 programs are there in the pandas. Once you type it, those things I mentioned in the first slide also, how to do that one. You do it, you arrange into subsets. If you see the subsets, it will be like 5 to 12, 5 to 7 things will come. You can arrange that one, you can remember that one. Overall, what I'm saying is we are just slicing that one and we are printing the top things of this X value and a Y value. So this is X value and Y value. So we will printing those things. Where we are printing? We are printing this. Now, these things are just, we are calculating, transferring the data this side to that side and all like that. Important steps are coming here. Now I am taking one model or ensemble. Read the notes. I kept the notes. Some 4 points are there. There is the notes. 1 minute. Right. Here, this is the tree regressor is doing that one. And I'm taking this regressor, I'm passing these values, X and Y. What is X and Y here is, this is a slicing operator. Once this is like a splitting the data into X and Y, right? By using the slicing operator, we split the data. X is like a trained data, Y is like a output, trained output. We are doing that one. Once that is model is got created, just created object and we fit the data into this. This fit, I will read out what I written for the fit. Yes. Fit, capture patterns from the provided data. This is the heart of the modeling. That's it. Fits the patterns of the data. What data? Provided data. What data we provided? We provided with this X and this Y. See, one simple step, it is doing that algorithm, whatever is there in the extra tree regressor is getting fitted and it is getting trained. So fits the patterns of the provided data and it is heart of ML, you can say that. Or modeling. See, if we are able to do this much using the single line, why we want to write another algorithm? Of course, you can write an algorithm for much more efficiency of that particular. Once this model is got created, there is something called feature importance. What is the feature? I told that the column names itself is like a feature. So in that feature, we are calculating the importance. When you see the output, remember all these steps so that it will be easy for everything. When we see that calculate the feature importance, start and end, we have the values 0.35, 0.04, 0.0001, point these things like this. If you see this is having more value and this is second high value and no, this is the second high value and this is the third high value. This is the fourth high value. We can use only these features also. This is very bad. That means low feature importance. So this ranking we can give. And also you can create a bar chart here and that bar chart will give you more clearance of that particular thing. So we are taking the 5 values of that particular thing, once that is thing, and we are keeping that one. So with this is having the feature importance. So this is actually a one big chapter called feature extraction and feature engineering. The data analyst will do that particular thing. But for us, we simply did that one. Now, here we are using the regressor to get the feature importance. This is an attribute, this is not a function. Function means it should be like this, open bracket and close bracket. Now, if you do that particular thing, after that, we are going to split the entire data into test data and train data. The test data, train data is important. I will read out a few lines about that particular thing and dangers we are doing that particular thing. So entire data is there, right? We saw some records, 300 records are there. How we do is we take the first 80% of the data as to train the data, and rest in the sense we go to the end, last 20% of the data we take it as a test data. The problems in this particular thing is generally 80-20%. When I say 0.2, that means 8 is the train data, 20% is the test data. That's what. Here we can say 0.5 also. We can say 0.25 also. But accordingly, it will get split. And we are getting the shape of that particular thing. How much the train, how much test is there. And then we are doing a big thing here. Instead of testing something like this, we are having something called line space. Line space will have start, stop, and number. We will get the hyperparameters. Sorry, hyperparameters. I will read what is that hyperparameters also. We saw what is a parameter. It's almost equal to an attribute. Here we are using that hyperparameter. Hyperparameter is a parameter. That means the part of a parameter, which is, but what is the specialty of that is whose value is set before training a machine learning or a deep learning. That value is set before training. We are going to do that particular thing here by going in depth into that particular thing, and we are going to do that thing whether it is before training to a machine learning algorithm or the deep learning algorithm. Different models require different hyperparameters and some requires none. In this, for demo purpose, I used this particular range. Start with 100 and 200 and divide into 12 parts. When I run that one, you'll understand the values, what it is getting for the X value, and we are converting those things into integer and we are putting into the thing. Here we have to learn the new terminology called hypertext. Just now I read that one. Again, here you are using the random forest regressor, and is a thing, and there is something called this random search CSV will take major attributes here. What are the attributes are there? I initialized with some values. Maximum features, maximum depth, maximum sample space, maximum sample leaves. So these are parameters which I am going to send through this random search CSV. These values which I created, I simply formed as a dictionary or a set. Since it has key value pairs here, set via set is curly bracket means set, but since it is having key value pairs, these are mine hard coded values. I taken some value and I kept it here. Why I am doing here is I want to form as a decision tree from that particular thing and using the hyperparameters. Don't worry about the terminologies which I'm using. More specifically, I'm stressing, listen this and go back and get the help and do that and come back to us and ask any doubt here. Now it is very simple. Once that is done, passing those dummy values or the hard-coded values, it's not dummy values, well-prepared values, those things we are passing into this particular thing, into the random search CSV, randomized search CV, that is one algorithm, and we are fitting this one. Fit, I explained that one. The model is got created. What model is got created? This is the model object is created, and fit means it got trained. It got trained. Now, Once this is trained, and we can predict with the test data, and we can show that particular thing. Once this model is ready, we want to sell to other people, or you have to create an application. In order to do that, we have another step called storing that model into a file. So whatever is RF random, I'm using here, I'm storing that into a random recursive pickle file. That is another terminology. Storing the data into the file and reading the data. One is called loads and dumps. And in Python, we have something called pickling. We use that thing called pickle and store that one. Now I have this here. If you see this here, that file got random regress file is called created. And I will run this program for you. Just you can visualize that one, what it is doing. So whatever I explained is doing this one, and it getting the estimators now. And these estimators, you can analyze that randomized CV, and it is splitting into start and end, and with the numbers at the depth, whatever we followed, given, and it is doing, and it is preparing that one. It will take one more minute. It is almost done. Good that no errors. If error comes only, we'll get tensed. Generally, whenever the error comes, we should not get tense. Generally, we will get tense. What's happening like that. But we should see the error message and try to see that one. So we got some output here. No, don't worry about that one. And I'm closing this one. Let us go to that. So it is parallel jobs done 50 out of time. Total time taken is 2.8 minutes finished. Your model is got created. And if you see this one, if you see here, the timestamp is 1207. That means this file got updated, created or deleted and got updated these things. So the size of this file is this one. So what we did now, very simple. People will give only this Excel sheet to you. It is your duty to use the data science, and let me show you in the code whatever you are doing in the first part. From here to here, reading and cleaning and changing parameters and all like that. All these things is the data science part. Whereas when you start algorithm, using the algorithm, and you are using the fit and train it, that is the machine learned engineer, or the using the consuming the algorithms. What is the output? You got the PKL file. You can name it as anything, MODEL also. That's become model file. And we are writing that whatever thing here you can do written here, and this got created. Now once this is got created, we have to use Django or Flask, and you need to create one web application. I'm not showing that one. I just show a dummy thing. And where is that file? You can have one app file, templates, index. I'll open this file and show this one so that you get it. Yeah, right. I'm not running. It's not a running application. It's just a dummy HTML file. But when I run the Django or a Flask application, it will be there. If you see this predictive analysis, the year is one of the parameter which we saw. Car name is not there. Where is that one? Where is that car? Correct only, right? Yes. Yeah, this car name not there. We did some calculations and other things, year selling price and all. Few of that are entire thing. The year is there. What is the showroom price in lakhs? This is what it is, selling price. And how many kilometers driven? This is the part. No, this is the one, kilometers driven. And fuel type here. And petrol or diesel, these are the unique values we calculated. Those unique values, petrol, diesel, and CNG. This is another unique value, dealer and individual. Manual or automatic. And calculate the selling price. So the model will be copied into this particular thing. This is the PKL file. And use the Django, and we written an application. This is the app.py, very simple file. Deco 1 KB, this is 2 KB, and that will generate this particular application. Here people will enter the value. Suppose one person came with what? With the top year. He purchased that car in 2013. At the time when he purchased, it's 11.8 lakhs, 11.7. Number of kilometers he driven is 56,000. And how many owners? It's a 1 or 3 owners. Is a single owner, and my thing is a diesel wala and individual, right? And it's a manual or automatic, it's a manual, and calculate the selling price. If you click that, it will predict the value. How this calculated? Based on this particular model which we created. This is the pickle file which we created. So I will go with the 2-3 other definitions. What we did, summarize. Some people will given a historical data. That data is in CSV file and in an Excel file. That I taken, and what I did is on the data, I did some analysis and I done some feature calculations. That is a feature engineering. Once certain things I removed, certain things I added. While adding, what I did is I calculated few values, then I used few algorithms related to that, and then those algorithms I'm able to create fit. Then the model is got created. That model I saved into a file, and then using that one I sent to other team where they developed an application where all the parameters they can enter and then calculate selling. Here it will give you the price. Suppose this price when I purchase 11.7 lakhs, it will tell that you can sell that at 6.4 lakhs because it is that much old. 2013 means it is a 7 years old car. You cannot sell, you can sell, that will predict, and tell that you can sell it for 6.7. Since the system is giving 6.7, I can tell to people I am selling this for 7 lakhs. And I can use some discount on that and sell that particular thing. So this application will help. Let me go before closing few terminologies. Someone asked what data scientist actually does. Put it in a simple in English. You have to gather the data, understand the data. That is second. Third thing is prepare the data by using some calculation, dropping some calculations, adding and those things calculate. That's what we did. We did number of years we calculated. Then after data preparation, you have to create the model. That is a PKL file in our thing in the PKL. After that, you can test it, right? After that is called testing, and you can create a predictive of that. Once that is done, you have to do the evaluation. This is properly working on now. Once that is done, we copied and put it into some Flask project or Django project, that particular file. That is called deployment. Once deployment is there, you have to understand the business and you have to create a business application. You have to create the business application. So certain steps I told while through the program, certain steps I told in general how it will be. Yeah, that's it from my side. Any questions we have now? I saw this was blinking, and otherwise we'll go with some announcements and we can. Can you please do class and Tableau and Privy next time, sir? Yes, we plan. Yes. Based on availability, timing, and everything. Sir, how can we convert Python coding result into a document or a PDF, especially to send someone or make standard format? Your question is not clear. Coding results means this is the result which I am showing, right? Result, right? What you can do is you can put a thing and you say that John results or results.txt, and there are a lot of tools from the text file to convert into PDF. I am not sure whether you are asking that question or not. For me, the results are this one, and I put it in the results.txt. I analyze that one, and you have tools to convert, right? Or put it in a Word document. I think I'm not sharing. I did something. I shared this one. Yeah. Right. What I did is this is my results window, and I redirected that to the results.txt. Once that is done, it will take some time. Once that is result.txt comes, what I will do is I will convert that into the PDF. This is the result.txt file. Then I will convert into the PDF. But I'm not sure you're asking that question or different question. And I want to tell one more thing. Generally, while doing these particular projects like this, suppose I might have done 10 small case studies or projects like this, I'll always create a Python virtual environment. I will do that. Then what we do is, another important thing is, generally people who ask in the interview is that how you create the requirements list, because we use so many projects or so many packages, modules you use. For that you have to use I gave that one. What is that one? We have to give that the list of packages which we created and redirect them to requirements.txt. Let us create one. Let me Google it and see. Some other question is there? I will answer those questions. Yeah. Do we run, sir, how can we convert the thing? Yes, exactly. That's the only question asked. Thank you. Right. Do we need to run all algorithms pertaining to a regression and classification before find out the best model? Yes, but you don't need to run in hundreds of these things. First, I gave some classification with different questions, 5 different sets of algorithms. In that algorithm, you have certain things, 4, 5 algorithms or 10 algorithms. You better run against all those things and calculate the score of that one. For the model.score, one function will be there. That score should come 0.8 and above. The actual value is 0 to 1. If it's a 0.6, 0.7, but it's something wrong. If it is like full, it is good. Full in the sense like 1, it's the best. But generally 0.86, 0.9 will come. Yes. And we are talking about the list, right? You just Google it. How to get list But these what packages? These are Python packages. Python. So it is like freeze. Freeze is the command. So in my laptop it may not work, but why it won't freeze? And say that requirements. No need of spelling. No need to be correct. I just giving that. Yeah, it's working. Yeah, Notepad. Yeah, this is the thing. So these are the packages installed in my laptop. For example, if you are using Pandas, if my project has to work in your virtual environment, you have to use Pandas of this version only, NumPy of this version only. Otherwise, there is a problem may come. You have to better install all the packages, pip install requirements.txt. So it will take from that, it will do that installation of the things. So all those things it will install. Since I am under some policy controls, it won't. I have to give different command for that, which I don't want to show. But in your machine, it will work. Pip installs request.txt. It will install gunshot, all those things, whatever is there in my laptop, it will install in your thing also. So these two commands, pip freeze some file name.txt and pip install this thing. Any other questions? Yeah, that's it from my side. For sure, even any other questions, you can post to the admin of the WhatsApp group or through email. We will answer and we will keep all these questions in some Word document and we will share with you. And lot more we will share, some YouTubes and end-to-end project code and with more explanation during this 1 week time. You'll get more things. Don't quit from the WhatsApp group and it will help you a lot. Yeah, thanks everyone. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, John. It's a wonderful session. I think definitely people are benefited with that. So there's a feedback form that is posted in the chat window. Please fill it up and write your valuable comments and your expectations. There were some people who are asking for more sessions on Tableau and other stuff. We will do so based upon the schedule ahead of us. So thank you very much. As John is told, so stay in the group for a week or so. We will post all the PPTs and code snippets and YouTube links and all that is needed. More than anything, it is your own self-drive to have a discipline to go through these videos again and again and make sure that you master the concepts that are explained here. A very good informative session we had. So end to end, a program, all the major steps that are required in data science and machine learning have been explained. Thank you, John, for your time for last week and this week. Really appreciate that. Okay. So thank you all. Have a good weekend.
Thanks, sir.
Yeah, before we forget, next week we have a session on cloud computing and Google Cloud Platform by Rama Bhupati from California. Please join and spread the word. Invite your friends, especially those who are on the cloud computing side or those who are on the Unix administration side, Windows administration. Those people, that will be definitely helpful. Thank you. Register at this link that will be shared to you through the flyers.